Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Cannabis Tech Talks. You are chopping it up with Chuck. And here today we are super excited to have Peter Vogel, the CEO of Leafwire. How you doing, Peter?
Doing great. How about yourself?
Hey, not too bad. We're sheltered in place during the coronavirus episode that we're having here. So this is something that we figured this is a great time where we can get a lot of podcasts done because everybody's available.
Very true. Yes, I'm sheltered here in place in Denver, Colorado, and we had about 8 inches of snow yesterday. So we have a little bit of a snow blizzard in addition to a pandemic.
Yeah, right. It's like when it rains, it pours. So we at least we've got lots of good food and we've got internet, and so I guess this will be the new normal for a while. Yeah.
Yep. You said it.
So, Peter, tell our audience just a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into the cannabis industry. I think it's always interesting to see how people arrived in the middle of this awesome industry.
Sure. So I've been in the industry now for just about 3 years or so, and I came from a tech background, a tech startup background. So I've been a co-founder of multiple different companies over the last 25 years, and always have started, small companies, mostly in the advertising marketing space. So the startup world, is nothing new to me. And about 3 years ago, the CEO of a company called Simplifya, which you may know, the CEO is Marian Marathason. He and I had been buddies of, about 10 years ago at other companies, and he approached me over lunch and explained that him and several other cannabis investors had an idea called Leafwire. And it was about creating an online platform for cannabis business people to connect and share ideas and do everything they do on LinkedIn. And they had no one to run the company. They were all running their own companies, and they needed someone. And I quit what I was doing in a totally different career and jumped into cannabis head first and started Leafwire.
So this was actually a good lunch meeting. Like, there's so many lunch meetings we go to that nothing ever comes out of it. This actually was like one of those where like, man, this was a great lunch meeting.
It was. It ended up creating the biggest business network in cannabis. So that one lunch meeting spawned, an entire platform, and we're now up to about 30,000 members who are all cannabis professionals. And we have almost 2,000 people a day on our platform every single day. And we pitch ourselves to the outside world as the LinkedIn of cannabis. So we've very quickly become the biggest network in cannabis. That's
amazing. And what a good idea. Cannabis people still use LinkedIn, to some degree, right? I see some business going on over there, but it's, at least with Leafwire, it's 100%. It's just all cannabis business. You don't have to worry about getting your advertising or your marketing or anything getting flagged, right? Is that primarily one of the big benefits?
Yeah, there's two primary reasons that people tell us they use Leafwire, and we do think LinkedIn is still valuable. I use LinkedIn every day. I use obviously Leafwire every day, but there's two primary things that make LinkedIn a little harder. One is just sheer scale. So LinkedIn has 660 million people on it. That's twice the population of the United States. So the amount of things you're going to see that have nothing to do with cannabis, it tends to be a large percentage. And the reality is, cannabis industry hasn't been around that long. So most of us had other jobs. We had built up hundreds or thousands of connections in all other industries. So when you go on LinkedIn, you're going to see stuff from all those other industries. And if you're 100% devoted to your cannabis venture, you want to learn about cannabis news, cannabis events, cannabis regulation, cannabis science. You don't want to see more information about, mortgages or realtors or the auto industry. And so it's really hard to get super focused info on a place like LinkedIn. And the second reason is stigma. So a lot of us, especially here in Colorado, you kind of forget that, in 80% of the United States, it's still recreationally illegal. Like, you could be fined or taken to jail for having, a joint or an edible.
Right.
So it's even though here it is completely legal, and then, in another 12, 13 states, most of the U.S., it still is not. So a lot of people still don't like to put the word cannabis or marijuana on their LinkedIn profile because, their family is in a state where it's not legal yet, or
Right.
they may have other people they've worked with in other industries who don't even, understand the cannabis industry. So there still is, and I think that will last for a while. A lot of people still look down, and some people who don't know if they want this to be their last industry they ever work in, they're leery to somehow be associated with just cannabis and be the cannabis guy from then on, in case they ever do want to work in another industry.
That makes sense. So let me, I'll tell you what, I want to find out some more about the technology that's behind Leafwire. And also we'd like to maybe discuss a little bit how sites like Leafwire can help people more than ever, since everybody's working from home, and it seems like there's going to be a good opportunity to do some networking, to do some business. Maybe there'll be some talent that's available out there. And after this quick break, we'll talk about how people could use Leafwire to do that.
We hope you've been enjoying today's Cannabis and Tech Talks. Thanks for listening. We wanted to take a quick break to mention this episode's brought to you by Emerald Scientific. They're on a mission to give the cannabis industry access to proper scientific equipment for all of their cultivation, production, and quality assurance needs. Emerald Scientific also hosts the annual Emerald Conference, the most advanced technical and comprehensive science conference in the industry. To learn more, visit emeraldscientific.com.
Hey everybody, we're back. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We've got Peter Vogel with Leafwire, which is basically the LinkedIn for the cannabis industry. And Peter, what? So we know how you guys came up with the idea for this. It was kind of hatched over a lunch meeting, really serving the needs of business professionals in the cannabis industry, so they can network and everything like that. What's the technology behind the platform? Does it take a lot of people behind the scenes to make sure it's up and running? You don't have glitches, you don't have, issues. Cause I can tell you, just regular old websites can be a pain in the neck with, making sure everything's updated and changing things over and stuff like that. What goes into Leafwire? Cause I imagine having a lot of users like that, you've got to make sure that things don't go down.
Yeah, no, definitely. We have a lot of safeguards and precautions up these days. I mean, luckily, due to things like Amazon hosting, scalability typically is not a problem anymore. You can be on Amazon hosted servers, and you can go from small to big relatively easily. So that's one nice thing about where we are in technology now, is that you used to have literally like closets full of servers, big machines that would,
right.
And you'd have to buy more and more of these servers, and big companies have 50 big servers in these closets. So you have to air condition because they heat up too much. And luckily those days are long gone. Our whole platform is actually built by an offshore team in Sri Lanka. So it's a development company called Saldaña Solutions. And we found it's a combination of, shout out to Sri Lanka. They're getting hit now too, I think, just like everybody else. So, our prayers out to them as well. But yeah, so we have a team over there of, I think now it's probably 7 or 8 different people, combination of database developers, front-end developers, a project manager, a QA person or two. And by doing that offshore, we're able to have a team of 8 people at the expense of what would probably be about 2 people here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So it's allowed us to develop faster and develop more than we would if we only had a staff here in the U.S. So that's really what's behind really building the entire platform, is that team, Saldaña Solutions, and we found that it's been a really good match for us as a company. We're a startup. We're always fundraising. Money's always tight. So to be able to get a lot done with, a smaller investment is huge for us.
Gotcha. And your revenue that you get right now, is that primarily from advertising?
Yeah. So it's right now the revenue is primarily from advertising that we do in both our emails. So we send out emails to our member base every day. And we also have on our platform, we have something called the Marketplace. And it's essentially a Yellow Pages-like service, a Yellow Pages-like directory where we have, about 50 categories. And they're all cannabis-friendly categories. So things like PR, payment processing, advertising, even cannabis domain names for sale. So it's a place where if you want to go find a PR company who's good with the cannabis industry, you can go look there and find a couple examples and find someone to contact. And those companies pay us a monthly fee, and we found that marketplace has been kind of a growing segment of Leafwire, and we think that'll continue to grow pretty substantially. The next part of our company that we've launched but aren't generating revenue from yet is jobs. So we launched a job board a couple of months ago, and we're doing just free trials for people to post jobs.
Yeah.
So we're not generating revenue from that yet, but we do think, because LinkedIn generates 65% of all their revenue from jobs, that likely is going to be one of our biggest revenue generators as well. Especially when you consider that the cannabis job market will probably be the fastest growing job market, of any industry for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
If you imagine every state that goes legal, you have hundreds of new companies. And then you also have tens of thousands of people who, they live in a state that goes legal, and they think, they start to see dollar signs, and they think, I should be working in cannabis. So we're seeing huge interest. And in the first month after we launched that job board, we had, I think it was a little over 20,000 job searches in 30 days. So there's tons of people out there looking for jobs, super interested in the cannabis industry. So that will be the next kind of part of our revenue that starts kicking in.
Yeah, that's huge, especially considering what we've got going on right now. When you think about it, the economy was just humming along, and everybody was spending money everywhere. Everybody was making money everywhere. Sports and concerts and vacations and travel. And it's surreal when all of that kind of goes away. And then you see the trickle down effect from those, events being canceled and venues and even events in the cannabis industry, right? Like we start to see all of these things, and, there's probably going to be a lot of layoffs. I think we've already seen some layoffs in the cannabis industry. But as this continues, maybe for another, month, 2 months or whatever, how can people use Leafwire, and what kind of advice would you give to people right now that are maybe a little bit unsure in this current, situation that we're in right now as far as jobs?
Well, one, it's, completely free to join Leafwire, create a profile. You can go look at jobs. Like I said, we have 1,500 open cannabis and hemp jobs that people are, everyone's free to go look at. They can send an application. So one, that's just a great free resource for people to use. In general too, we always encourage people to come onto Leafwire and start posting, some news once in a while. If you want to post a question to the group to ask, about a specific part of the industry, feel free to do that. And just start posting and getting to know people, like any other network. The more you can get your name out there and people start to see you, you start to develop relationships. And those are relationships that could help you find a job, maybe not today or next week, but maybe in 3 months or 6 months or a year. Just building that network of contacts. And we will also, so there's two other things we're doing that are very kind of related to our current status or situation we're in. One is we're going to be adding a list of all the webinars that are out there on Leafwire. So we'll have a list of like the top cannabis webinars for people to go to.
Oh, that's great.
Obviously every event's disappearing. I send out a cannabis calendar email every Friday. I just did it earlier today at noon. And all of March and April are just deleted. So
it's a short email,
2 months. Yeah, 2 months of events are gone. But what we're going to start doing in that email now, we're almost going to turn that into a webinar email. It's going to be every single webinar that's announced, we'll post it in that email and send it out. So people are always aware of it. So that I think is a great resource to go to those webinars that actually have a sector of interest that matters to you, learn and, connect with people. And lastly, we're also going to be adding a groups section. So similar to how LinkedIn has groups.
Yeah.
And we're going to make these category specific. So a group for cultivators, a group for people interested in hemp specifically, a group that are interested maybe in international cannabis businesses, and have, anywhere between 5 to 10 different groups. And that way people can go in and post messages that are very specific to a certain topic and get information just from those people in that group who care about it. So that's another great way. People can go and just read the thread and you can learn, or you can post your own questions, or you can answer questions if you're knowledgeable and you want to help people out. So that will be in the next couple weeks. That'll be up, and that'll be a great place for people who want to either learn or share or make contacts.
That's very cool. We'll make sure that we share that out when that goes live as well. That's a pretty awesome thing that you guys are doing there. So one other thing that I would say I definitely agree with is for people that are concerned that might be listening right now about the job market. Absolutely. Now is a great time to continue to get yourself out there. Maybe brush up your resume, be involved on LinkedIn. Twitter is a really good one. Obviously Facebook and of course Leafwire. Just be there, be involved, be in the conversation, reach out, do stuff like that to raise your profile, because you never know, like you said, Peter, a relationship that you make on a site like that could definitely lead to a collaboration or a job in the future.
100%. We always tell people to, get started now. The expression, I forget who it's from I think it's actually Zig Ziglar, a famous salesman from the
It wasn't
70s
raining.
and 80s.
It wasn't raining. You know what you're going to say? No,
not. I don't know that one. The one I was going to say is dig your well before you're thirsty.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get a job, or if you want to get a job eventually, you want to start to develop some contacts. When you go back to people, there's some sort of warm relationship already in place, versus no one wants people to just come to them and to demand something from them immediately. Like you need something from someone, versus you've seen someone post articles on Leafwire for the past 6 months, and maybe they've commented on your article, they've liked your thing a couple times, and then you're more that they make a comment and they ask you, hey, do you happen to know, the director of HR at Green Thumb Industries? And because you've gotten to know them, you feel comfortable and you want to help them. So it's just like, it's exactly what you said, is get out there now, develop those relationships and get started. Don't wait until you're desperate and you need something, start now.
It wasn't raining when Noah started to build the ark.
I like that.
I think that might've been a Zig Ziglar too. He's got a lot of good ones. So let's flip it over then, and let's look at things right now from the business owner's standpoint. So we talked about, how job seekers and people looking to collaborate can use Leafwire in that form and fashion. What should business owners be doing right now? Especially, there's no events for the next couple months. A lot of companies are cutting back on marketing. What do you think is a good thing right now for businesses to be doing to keep themselves out there, given the fact that, for the next couple of months, there are no events, and that is probably one of the biggest places cannabis businesses spend their money and go to get their business.
Right. I would argue that businesses, every business is a person, right? Mm-hmm. The businesses should be doing the exact same thing that we tell people to do. Business owners should still be, out there developing relationships, sharing information, learning, take advantage of all these webinars. There's a ton of them popping up now. I just saw New Frontier Data is hosting one. ArcView is hosting one.
Oh, cool.
International Quality Control of Cannabis, I think, is hosting one. They're all over the place, and they all have different information. If you want to hear from investors, the ArcView one is great for that. I'm not sure what the focus of the New Frontier Data one is, but they always have a lot of good information and, industry reports and things like that. But whatever you're interested in, there's going to be a slew of information out there right now, and lots of chances to go onto those webinars or podcasts, and then you can even reach out to the people afterwards and create the relationship by saying, "Hey, I just listened to your webinar, last week. That was really interesting. Thanks for putting that together." You don't have to ask people for a favor, an intro, or anything. Just thank them for putting out information, and then that person. They'll probably respond in a very kind, appreciative way, and then you've now made a new contact.
Absolutely. And I would say too that for business owners, right now is actually a good time. Well, maybe not right now, but in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or whatever, you're going to find that there's a bigger talent pool out there looking, because there's going to be some type of layoffs and stuff like that. So for some of these businesses where it's been hard to find talent because the unemployment was so low, everybody had a job, there's going to be more talented people out there, and a good opportunity for, if you're trying to plug some holes in your organization, you might be able to find some superstars out there that maybe before weren't available.
Yes, 100%. And I would also add that now is a great time if you were looking to, redesign your logo, or if you were looking to do some development in your website, or if you were looking to get a new stuff created for conferences, like new banners and things. There's tons of people out there who are underemployed. Some people have jobs still, some don't. Some are only partly working and are basically sitting around half the day. There's a lot of people out there with skills who you could pay on a project basis or hourly to do some things for you, maybe even a little cheaper than they normally would, and they'd be happy to do it, and you can get some work done that maybe you've been putting off. And there's people out there who need that.
You're right. That's a great point, Peter. Absolutely a really good time to kind of, make your house look pretty. Come look inwards into your business and fix some things. And if you saw my house right now, it does not look pretty. So I've got a lot of cleaning up to do. I'm realizing that hunkering down means you've got to make time to clean and tidy up. I got a lot of crap going on.
Yeah, for sure. Someone's got to do the dishes.
Right. So let's Peter, you're a big supporter of the Last Prisoner Project. Can you just tell our audience briefly about that? Because I think it's a phenomenal organization, and one that we should definitely put a quick spotlight on.
Yes. So at Leafwire, in the last couple of months, we've kind of identified a few charitable partners we want to start promoting and doing on the regular, some sort of like monthly shout out, and kind of use our resources to send out free emails to promote different causes. And Last Prisoner Project is one of those. And what they do that's amazing is they work extremely hard to fund efforts to get people out of jail who are in areas where laws have been changed. And oftentimes these people are in jail for years at a time for possessing a very minimal amount of marijuana, something posing no threat to society, and they're separated from their families, their children, often for years or decades, for what we look back on now as not even being crimes. So what they do is they go in with legal help and push to get those people released who have committed very minimal nonviolent crimes, get them out of jail, get them back into society, and reunite them with their families, and kind of reverse that harm that was done to make sure that the legalization of cannabis is not just something that benefits wealthy white men, that it's something that is actually going back and righting some wrongs that the war on drugs created, and a lot of those societal issues that now necessarily don't happen now, but the results of those are still in place. So all of those people are still in jail.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen Steve D'Angelo. I know he's a big advocate for it, and we've just did an article on it. But an absolutely phenomenal organization to be supporting right now, because you're right, it's weird that they've got people locked up for 20, 30 years for the same thing that people are, making a lot of money doing right now.
Yep. And it's even, I read something recently, there's more advocates even pushing harder now based on the coronavirus situation, because it's very difficult for those in jail to protect themselves, because they're oftentimes in shared cells. They can't control their space, the air they breathe, the food they eat. They basically have no control over whether or not they're going to get something like the coronavirus. So to get those people out of jail now, to prevent that spread, it's becoming even worse.
Yeah, and this would be a good time for our listeners to reach out to organizations like the Last Prisoner Project and Veterans for Cannabis Coalition. Like, if you've got an organization you've been interested in, or that affects an area that you have an interest in, this is a really good time to reach out to them, shoot them an email, go to their website and see how you can get involved and support them in one way or another.
100%. Yeah, we're big believers in that, and we're creating a program at Leafwire where we're going to have a monthly partner and do just that. And our goal is hopefully that not just that we do it, but hopefully we inspire a lot of our members to kind of do the same, to inspire Leafwire members to kind of take on the cause, because they all can do a lot more than we can do on our own. So if we can inspire some of our base of 30,000 members to go out there and actually create a change, that's the real change that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess one thing that's coming from this the coronavirus episode that we're having right now is the fact that we realize how interconnected we all are, and how interdependent we all are, and what a role we play in each other's lives, even though it may seem like we're really separated. This just goes to show how connected we are. So I guess it's good to be kind of coming back in that direction. Are you all stocked up on everything? And if you are all stocked up, I've got to ask you, did you stock up on cannabis?
Did a little bit. Was stocked up on mostly some edibles. Okay. But we did stock up on some food and drink just to be ready in case we do have to stay here for a couple of weeks. So we did take some precautions. We tried not to go overboard, but at least be somewhat prepared.
I've heard that you can get good deals on flowers at a lot of the dispensaries, because if they have to shut down, they don't want it going bad. And also, people are stocking up on food. People are stocking up on apparently toilet paper you can't even find. But soap and people are getting their medicines. And for a lot of people out there, they want to make sure if they're going to have to be home for a little bit, that they have stocked up as well on edibles or whatever that is of choice. But really, really interesting times. It's great that we have a platform like Leafwire where we can connect. And I think it's really cool that you guys are helping to continue to bring more information to these, to these people, like let them know about maybe not events right now, but the webinars and things like that. So really awesome what you guys are doing over there, Peter. We appreciate your time coming on Cannabis Tech Talks. Can you let our audience know best way to get a hold of you? And of course, how to get involved on, maybe if they're not already, get on Leafwire?
Yeah, for sure. For anyone who's not a member of Leafwire already, it's the domain name URL is just leafwire.com, and it is 100% free to join and create your profile and start connecting with our 30,000 members. And if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, I can always be emailed at peter@leafwire.com, or you can come send me a message on Leafwire.
Awesome. Well, Peter, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Stay safe, my friend. And when this is all over, I look forward to catching up with you again, maybe over a margarita and some tacos. Once we are allowed to go back to restaurants and stuff like that, it might be a little while.
You're right about that. And sounds like a plan to me. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us on Cannabis Tech Talks. If you enjoyed this, make sure that you give it a like and share. And don't forget to subscribe. Let your friends know that you can find Cannabis Tech Talks pretty much any place you can get a podcast. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to follow us on social media so you can stay in the conversation. And visit our website, cannatechtoday.com.